Hello, everybody. My name is Rick Delaney, and I'd like to thank you for joining our webinar this morning. This is our second community of practice webinar. First one was on managing fear and anger in public engagement, and this particular one is on online engagement tools and techniques. The purpose of the presentation is to present findings, observations, and some best practices that have come out of research that Marco has done relating to a project for a Canadian municipality. They are developing a policy and program around online engagement, and they wanted to base it on best practices from across the country. And so Marco has done research in every province and has compiled it into this webinar and a report, obviously, for the client. My practice in Delaney and Associates is in collaborative decision making. So I'm a facilitator and a public engagement specialist, and we offer a range of, as you know, a range of services relating to community involvement and stakeholder relations. The operating procedures for today, everyone is on mute except Marco and I. Marco has probably about 35 minutes worth of presentation, maybe 40 minutes of presentation, and then we're going to add a couple of question periods in the presentation, and at that time we will unmute your microphones. But at the same time, please use the chat bar there to ask any questions, and I will pass them along to Marco as we go into these different question periods. Also like to say that at the end of the session, or later today or tomorrow morning, we'll be sending you an evaluation, and would really appreciate you. It's a 20 question evaluation, but it really only takes 5 or 6 minutes to complete, and we would most certainly appreciate you doing that in a timely way. So I would like to introduce you to Marco. Some of you have already met, but Marco joined the firm in January this year. We're very pleased to have him on board. Marco received his undergrad and graduate degrees from University of British Columbia in the area of public policy and international relations. He started his career as a researcher and has worked with government, academic organizations, and non-governmental organizations since graduating from UBC. And that included a stint with Canada's mission to the European Union a few years back. So for about 6 years, Marco has been using online tools and techniques to conduct policy research, and it really appealed to him, and he loved working online. And so for the past couple of years, he's actually been working full-time in the area of online engagement, and as I said before, we're so very pleased to have him with us as our full-time online engagement specialist. So with that, I'll turn the microphone over to you, Marco.
Great. Thanks, Rick. Really happy and pleased to be here today, and I want to just thank everyone for joining in, as well as I want to thank everyone who completed our pre-webinar survey. It really helped us to understand who's here who's here with us today, and as well what your expectations are. So I just want to give you a quick overview of the webinar today. So first we'll start off with introductions and just a brief webinar overview. We'll break into a quick Q&A session following that. Next, we'll go into tools and techniques. That's going to be about 16 or so minutes, followed by a Q&A session as well. We thought it would be great just to break it up a little bit, so you're not, listening to me speak for 45 minutes straight. It can be a little bit exhausting at times. In section 3, we'll take a look at some of content and risk management approaches, and then we'll wrap up. So I'm really happy to be here with you today, and I hope that you find the information presented useful. And if you ever have any questions, I would be more than happy to answer them in any sort of follow-up way, email or telephone or whatever. So just wanted to announce the survey results. So we have quite a broad demographic here today. We have users from the health sector, the environment, consulting and local government, from across the country, actually. So that's great. You told us you would mostly like to know more about the various tools and techniques out there, gain an improved understanding of social media, marketing, and outreach, and just go away with a general understanding and overview of what's happening in this sector. So I think we have a solid presentation that will cover all of those points and more. Now, most of you already use social media to some extent for online engagement and personally. So it sounds like you have some familiarity with social media. And those who currently do not are planning to implement it in the near future. What was quite kind of interesting actually from the survey results is that most of you felt that online engagement helps with outreach, marketing, relationship building, and business intelligence. And these are all sort of interconnected areas. And really, a lot of the areas that we've sort of, prior to online and social media tools, that we pursued through interpersonal relationships as well. And you indicated that your top concerns around online engagement revolved around the time and knowledge required to manage it, followed by the fear of not having enough content. And that these are common concerns that we've heard through our research and through our work for various clients. But there are tools and methods out there that you can use to really address these problems ahead of time. It was encouraging to hear that most of you have some degree of support internally in terms of your inside your organization, but do feel that unfortunately that executives sort of lack a thorough understanding to fully support it. So there's a degree of buy-in, but perhaps a little bit of skepticism as well. Now, we did find through our research and our work experience that really having that internal buy-in is essential to have a well-managed and successful and coordinated organization-wide social media and online engagement initiative. What was also interesting was that approximately 50% of you don't have strategies and policies in place, that you do it sort of in an ad hoc, on the fly sort of a way. And that's something that we'll address because having these in place is really essential for many reasons. Security, liability, privacy, employer, employee, and public protection, as well as planning and education, as well as knowledge management. Finally, we heard that about 56% don't have an evaluation plan in place for online engagement. And we feel that's something that's really important because you need to set out those key performance indicators really at the start of your planning at the needs analysis level, so that you can really evaluate and improve your engagement efforts. And interestingly enough, as well, 54% felt that the online engagement is not effective. So that's interesting because if you also need to measure something to be able to improve it as well. Now, in our experience, we found that organizations that have plans in place and measurements in place really have a better understanding of internal and external needs, resource requirements, and processes, all of which develop internal capabilities for effective execution and evaluation. Then we'll be sending these survey results in our post-webinar kit, including the presentation. So thank you for those who answered our survey. And at approximately 40% response rate, so we were quite happy with that. Now, just wanted to start with the basics and what is social media. So, taking this quote from Wikipedia, which is a socially generated content, it's really social media refers to interactive dialogue, co-creation of content, and exchange of that content. And citizen engagement, on the other hand, is also about dialogue and dialogue-based processes in support of policymaking and decision-making. So it's about dialogue. So both aspects are about dialogue, about bringing people into conversations and discussing issues and policies. So there's a lot of synergies between the two concepts. And really, so we feel that the clearest benefit of digital engagement is in support of more sustainable and overall better policy outcomes and better service design and delivery, and really a way to more directly engage and involve citizens into the policy cycle. And because of the lower barriers to entry or sort of transaction costs, you can do so more frequently and at various sort of policymaking cycles as well. Social media also enables organizations to be more responsive and really holds a potential to improve knowledge sharing between stakeholders and to establish these virtual networks and communities at local, national, or even global level. And even one of the sort of the most commonly pursued or argued reasons for online engagement is really to reach new audiences who might otherwise not want to get involved, not have time to get involved. So sort of, go beyond the NIMBYism effect. So digital and social media really allows both governments, organizations, and civil society to really interact more closely together in a more direct way. So let's start off and start with sort of a basics of building the business case. So a lot of you already have a social media in place, but feel there's not quite a lot of internal executive level support. So the reason why we put this in here is really to help you kind of understand and maybe argue more effectively for a stronger online engagement efforts and presence in your organization. So why engage online? Well, really, it's the new medium. It's the old way was really one-way transmission of information from TV to radio to newspapers. Social media is really about enabling a whole gamut of online virtual networks, discussions, debates across a whole wide range of tools and methods from media to discussion groups. So it's really a way more interactive way to spread out information, and really to generate your own information as an organization. You don't have to rely on the more traditional aspects of media, such as newspapers or the TV, and compete with all the other ones. That you usually have to compete with businesses or big stories. With the social media landscape, we found that you really can make your own news. You can have your own What's New channel. You can have a YouTube video channel. You can broadcast your own webcasts. So we really found that successful municipalities really do a good job of leveraging these new tools and go beyond the traditional. And the focus really is about on sharing information and relying as well on citizens as reporters. And you can really set up multiple channels to fit the need of your audience. And as the media and the press coverage indicates, social media has become widely adopted in Canada. The Canadian population is a global leader in use of online media. You can see here there's an expected forecast in terms of increased adoption of social media in the coming years. There's a high penetration rate, especially with Facebook. So Facebook is quite popular in Canada. So really, the statistics suggest that there really is a strong online presence in Canada of Canadian population, and that this is really the way of the future, or if not the way of now. And actually, as the Minister for Cabinet Office in the UK said, digital is not just another channel; it's the delivery choice for this generation. So that really puts things into perspective. Now, so giving all these stats, and thinking about this, so why now? Well, there's an increased expectation from residents for online engagement. People are used to doing transactions online, from online banking, paying parking tickets, paying taxes, going shopping. People are used to receiving more timely information, sort of on demand and sort of at the tip of their fingers. So really, there's the increased expectations for things that work now, that deliver, and that you can access at any given moment in time. people are busy, so it's really you're struggling with other competing interests. So we really feel that social media can deliver and is what in addition with more of a comprehensive online engagement effort to really deliver a platform that people can access from the comfort of their home and participate in some of these policy making discussions. Next, it's perhaps time to set up a foundation that resonates with younger generations. And with such a fast adoption of tablets, smartphones, and online platforms in general, it's perhaps not even younger generations, but current generations. Some stats further indicate that over 80% of Canadians have online access, 86% have Facebook profiles, and importantly, 54% say they would actually engage more with the government if they could do so online. So overall, we found that these is really strong evidence for moving things online, and tools are currently available and have reached sort of a relative maturity in terms of the quality of these tools. Now, of course, there are many other tools popping up on a sort of almost a monthly basis, but there are a few established platforms out there that have become more widely adopted and proven to work. So how does online engagement sort of fit in? What kind of goals are you trying to achieve with online engagement? So at a strategic level, you can consider online engagement as a way to invest in relationships and building trust among stakeholders, community groups, citizens, and your residents. You can increase reach or amplify messaging, so to speak, and engage with your stakeholders. You can. We found that some of the really more advanced municipalities, we found that they create their own news channels. They broadcast council meetings live. They hold interviews with city and local residents, and overall they communicate more frequently. At a more operational level, we really found that there is potential for social media and online engagement to help with marketing and outreach, be it through Google Ads or by having people like your page or follow you on Twitter and promote your messages that way. We found that municipalities use social media and online tools for crisis and emergencies, for expanding client services through more efficient media or more innovative media, and we found that overall it influences audiences to achieve public policy goals. And overall, there's a case that we make for that overall that the social media and online tools really support business units and help them sort of gather business intelligence and gather new knowledge and a better overall understanding of what's happening in their community and in terms of what matters to them. So what are some of the practical considerations of using online engagement tools and social media? Well, for one, it's really easy to update information as it becomes available. You don't have to go into PDF documents or Word documents, change text, convert it, upload it, etc. You can really create content that's shareable, that you can write it once, you can read it everywhere, so you can distribute it across multiple channels, almost with a single click of a button, and in some cases, actually with a single click of a button. And we've seen organizations implement tools that actually work in that way, that make that distribution of information much more efficient for them. We've seen municipalities use a whole gamut of different tools, such as RSS feeds through their web properties, by leveraging existing content from maybe you have brochures, so you already have some existing text, and then you just have to reformat it to fit the web format. You probably have some stock photography from past events, so you can put those online. And it really overall, it helps to improve business processes. And finally, the last point is it helps municipalities tell a story about their community, about their initiatives, about their projects in more interactive ways. So where do we start? I mean, there's so many tools out there, and it's really easy to sort of get inspired to just jump on any one tool like Facebook or Twitter or YouTube. But as this quote suggests, and that's by Matt Leininger from IBM Center for Business of Government, it's a common mistake to just jump on a sort of a very popular tool like, oh, let's go on Facebook, or let's go on Twitter or YouTube. Rather, what the way we see things is that you need to plan this out. You need to conduct a needs assessment. You need to identify what you're trying to achieve, and 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 then pick a tool that matches your needs. That will pick a tool that will actually address those needs properly. And we found that organizations that do succeed have done this process. They actually consider all the resource requirements, time requirements, and they've asked themselves, why do we want to engage online? Perhaps you need to ask yourself drill down 5 times, why, until you have a really clear statement that you can actually use as a kickoff point for your project, and also use that statement to communicate that to your stakeholders or residents or other partners. So you need to establish or identify also internal values and line up the online engagement efforts with these. You need to know how you will manage internal and external expectations. We found that understanding your audience is really important and understanding their preferences. We also found that you need to have a strong value proposition. So ask yourself, what do I as a participant want to get out of this? And we found that internal buy-in is extremely important. So you need to have internal buy-in not only at the executive level, but at the frontline level with the staff. And then you need to reach out into existing communities and leverage this instead of starting off just on your own, because you really need the support of the community for these things to be successful. And importantly, you also need to know what are the goals and objectives, and need to have some key performance indicators come out of those considerations, and to understand how you'll measure your success. So there's also new skills you need. So you need digital skills like basic design, or even some basic coding, or understanding of what widgets are. You need analytical and research skills, new communication skills, and you need to stay up to date with new innovative tools that are coming out on a regular basis. And we found that you need people who have a passion for digital communications and who have compassion, understanding, and really strong interpersonal skills. But you also need time. So even though some of these tools are free, you do need time and resources. So that's that for this section. I mean, I don't know if there are any questions, Rick.
I haven't been receiving any questions, but I have to say that well, why don't you just open the, why don't you unmute everybody's mic there, and then if you have a question, people, why don't you just identify yourself and try and keep your questions succinct, and we'll get through as many as we can in the next few minutes.
Sure. Actually, if there are questions, we can actually ask people to, I don't think I can unmute everybody, but if you have a question, you can raise your hand. And that's under the your dashboard panel. Rick, I don't think we have any questions. So I think we should just proceed then with the into the section 2. That's tools and techniques. Rick, any comments? Okay. So we'll move into section 2, and that's on tools and techniques. So here we'll get really to the core of what this webinar is about, and what you were asking us to present on. So online tools and services, there's a whole gamut of tools out there. So really, it can be a bit overwhelming, and you need to have a really strong understanding of what each tool does, where on the spectrum of participation you can use it. You need to understand what are the requirements for using this. And what kind of resources you'll need. So even if you need additional knowledge, you need additional staff, maybe you need outside expertise. Really, so you need to do a bit of research before you get involved. So we present here the IP2 spectrum, and underneath you can see some ideas as to what kind of tools you can use along the continuum. And so, at the informed level, the very basic level that most of you seem to operate at, you can use websites, e-newsletters, blogs, or other social tools, but without the commenting feature, so you're not really receiving any feedback. And we found that a lot of organizations start out at this level until they become a little more comfortable with using online engagement and social media tools, because it's definitely a little less riskier, so to say, and it takes a little less time to manage and moderate comments, and engage in that two-way conversation. And perhaps that's fine at the initial level, but to really achieve strong engagement, you really need to move up on the spectrum and engage people in a two-way dialogue, because really that's what people expect when you're using these online tools. They expect there to have some input into the decision cycle. So what are some of the trends that we've seen from our online case studies and some of our research? Really, social media adoption is prevalent, and there's an increased maturity of interactions on and through use of social media. So municipalities have actually started some very innovative projects, some innovative ways to engage their residents online. They've set up specific and dedicated consultation portals and project sites using custom domain names and cross-platform integration. So whether you set it up in-house or you relied on external service, such as a software as a service model, so you're paying on a monthly basis, we've seen really a more of a progress toward user-centered design and people-centered approach. So you're really understanding, how people, what's the process, and how people are using these tools. What kind of processes? You have to think of the participant. So how will they find the information? How will they access the information? How will they discover it? How will they interact with your website? So there's definitely a usability component of this, because if something doesn't work, they're really not likely to use it. And the content and the design, it really needs to be visually appealing and interactive and overall engaging. Next, we found that mobile apps, with the strong smartphone update in Canada, we found that mobile apps is the next sort of the next big thing. Although it's been quite developed in sort of the private and the commercial section, the municipal governments are a little slower to develop mobile apps. And the other part of that is that, for example, TransLink in Vancouver, which runs the local transportation system, they don't use an app anymore, but they use a web-based, a mobile-optimized website. We've also seen municipalities engage in crowdsourcing or ideation, so engaging residents to submit more new ideas as to how local services can be improved, and other residents can then, and participants can then comment and vote on the best ideas. We've seen the open data and open government and other mashups and co-creation of content, use of infographics to really kind of distill complex information in visually pleasing and engaging ways. We've seen information visualization approaches, so mapping things out. So really trying to come up with some new and interactive and engaging ways that are not, a 50-page PDF report on the next steps ahead. And finally, we've seen a bit of a start to a gamification or use of serious games, so like participatory budgets that allow people to interact with sort of various controls and have a bit of a game aspect to it. The game provides feedback, how you're doing, and it really challenges you to get yourself into the shoes of a finance minister or a local councillor. So let's next we'll cover off some examples. So first off, to start, we have the use of we've seen the use of obviously websites at a municipal level as information hubs. So really a place where residents can, or city services or city businesses can come to and really try to, do some either business transactions or find latest news and information. And we've seen the really good websites, like this is a new website by the city of Burnaby, to be very very engaging, to promote the community, to promote the kinds of things that there are that people can do in the community, from events to athletics to recreation, and really taking. And when we talk about that user-centered design, it's really, if you look at the top right of the webpage, it says "I want to," and if you expand that, it actually has, I want to either do something, I want to pay a bill, I want to find more information on something. So it really there's an approach to thinking how do what kind of information are people using or wanting to access. And if you look on the right hand side of the slide, it's a bit of a dashboard overview of all the online and social media channels that people that their municipality has out there. So this is from the city of Vancouver. So really, it's a one stop shop or one stop page where you can really find out how can I connect to what I care about. So if you care about the arts, you have the Vancouver Civic Theaters. If I'm a youth, so I'm the Vancouver Youth. So really, there's a dedicated sort of a online community for various interests, and that works quite well. Next, we've seen municipalities use online platforms to consult online and crowdsource ideas. So we have here an example of PlaySpeak, which is a new platform that actually is innovative in a sense that it allows the proponent to understand and limit the participants based on their geographic location. So if you want to consult with people who live only in Vancouver, this platform enables you to do so. Next to the right of it is an Engagement HQ, which is also one stop sort of an online consultation platform. And all of these tools have forums. They have built-in surveys, galleries, videos, so document libraries. So it's a turnkey solution. So you pay for on a monthly basis or per setup, and it's basically ready to go. You upload the content, and they're fairly easy to use. On the bottom left is an example of the Vancouver's Greenest City Challenge campaign site, and here they've crowdsourced or they've engaged residents in submitting ideas, and the best this tool, which is based on Idea Scale, or there's other ones like User Voice or Spigot or Idea Vibes in Canada, basically enables users to submit an idea and for other participants to then rank and comment on those ideas. And what I like about this example that's really great is that the city actually went back and they commented on a lot of ideas and to let the participants know as to what will be actually done about their submissions. So it's kind of closing off that feedback loop. We've seen discussions online, so whether it's a Twitter discussion or actually a Google Plus Hangout with a local counselor. So you can later you can record these and you can archive them and you can have them available online for people to use them. So Google Plus Hangout, it's a way for it's an interactive and online video chat that you can connect to about maybe half a dozen participants and engage in a direct video conversation and ask questions. We've seen municipalities use Flickr to successfully, promote and showcase their community in very visual ways. A lot of examples involve tourism, but as well as other elements as well, highlighting local attractions, community events, and it's really neat because all these tools really enable you to then take that content and share it across multiple platforms. For example, with Flickr, you can actually embed some of these galleries on a WordPress site or on your website. You can actually upload high-resolution pictures and direct journalists to download these pictures for use in their media, newspaper articles. You can comment on that. So it really enables a lot of that quick information sharing. We've seen municipalities use some of the new online platforms to improve services. So, for example, a see-click fix, it's a way for residents to leave notices and about any vandalism, graffiti, or potholes, and actually indicate where in the city that's the problem is. So you can then map it out, and then you can actually see whether or not the issue was brought up by the city and addressed by the city, so you can track the status of the issues. Fix My Street is the sort of the Canadian equivalent of that. Toronto is using Twitter as a 311 service, so residents can send a 140 character message saying, "Hey, there's a traffic light is out, or there's a big pothole, or what are you doing about this initiative?" So the account is actually managed by about half a dozen of staff, and there's a picture of them, and each one signs off with initials and answers questions or directs the user to more appropriate venues such as email or issue tracking system online. We've seen municipalities use new online tools for community engagement. And this is a really neat one in the United States, where actually it enables local residents to come up with ideas to how to improve the city, but it actually also enables them to get together then through the online ways and form teams to address these issues on a volunteer level. And we've also seen an interesting case study in Surrey, actually, where the architects working on a new library used social media such as Facebook, Twitter, and Flickr to get input from local residents as to how best, what kind of a library design they would like to see. And while a lot of the input from residents, the architects already were aware of, there were a few gems in there as well that they maybe didn't think of. And it really helped. The process really enabled the public to shape the final outcome as well. But online engagement is not only for external purposes. You can also use it internally or more directly with your clients. So there's an online tool called Yammer, which is basically like an employee-only Facebook system. So you can deploy that on for your organization and really have basically a very limited and a dedicated social networking platform for your department or organization. You can even try it out for free. In the UK, there's a website called Patient Opinion. And really, it's about bringing patients together and enabling them to tell their story, to submit videos or articles about their experiences in the healthcare, and so really have a transparent sort of a feedback mechanism that others can relate to as well. We've seen websites we've seen municipalities use web tools to promote behavior change. So one example in Port Coquitlam, for example, they have a video of a counselor disposing of a Christmas tree to recycle it, and really we've heard that it was very successful. And basically, it's sort of it's not hard to do, and it takes people step by step as to how to properly dispose of the tree. And suggesting to them, it's not hard to do. I can do it. This is how you do it. You go step 1, step 2, step 3, and really guides them in that process. And it's a 5-minute video, and it's quite fun. It's done in a fun and engaging way. So it's quite motivating to actually, dispose of your Christmas tree properly. And we've seen municipalities also use online media for crisis communication, be it to disperse weather warnings, be it to post flooding information or broadcast fire warnings, and just there's been studies that said that really we found that it's social media and online platforms have been far more resilient in following a natural disaster than people predicted, and even more so than landlines. So really, people have their cell phones. The cell phone towers are still working. So really, it's a way to quickly disseminate short bursts of information, and even actually engage in sort of using citizens to update the departments and organizations on the status in their particular area. And what's really cool about it is because if you have a smartphone, you can submit a photo and may have a geographic location on it. So it really enables a quicker and faster processing of information. So, for example, in the US, the US Geographic Survey, they monitor social media daily on mentions of earthquakes. Homeland Security does the same. Japan, Google set up a People Finder following the disasters there. Following the Katrina flooding and the hurricane in the US, there was use of social media to stay in touch. Google used a sort of more advanced ways, including natural language processing and keyword monitoring to understand the disease pattern for example, the flu. So it's really if set up right, it can really easily spread the information quickly. And you need to set the foundation, so you need to set up these channels ahead of time so that you actually build a following and people understand where they can go to actually rely on these things and get updates during emergencies. Finally, we've also seen participatory budgeting. We alluded to this before. So basically online tools to try to balance the budget and understand how the process there. So even though it may not be a very necessarily the most representative way of how the budget is done, it certainly serves an educational purpose. We've also seen moves over mobile apps, as we said before. So City of Calgary has quite a strong selection, including on pathways and bikeways or road conditions. And really, this is led by the understanding that smartphones have rapidly penetrated the mobile market, and I think approximately 33% of users in Canada go online with a wireless handheld device, according to Stats Canada. iPhone is certainly a leader with this, about 37%. And there are some new trends. So here we have, it's a National Health Service poster campaign in the UK. They're using Pinterest to promote their past posters that they've used for health promotion and smoking cessation. So really, it's all about experimenting and trying new things, but experimenting thoughtfully. So thinking things through a little bit. So we have a few more slides here, and we'll try to zoom through them.
Well, Marco, we've got 4 people backed up here for questions, and so maybe we can pause quickly. I've got them in order of Ron and Alex, and then Madeline from the UK, and then Stefan from Ottawa. So if you can find Ron there and unmute him, he was first in the queue if he's still on.
Sure. Let me just open the box here.
So
hi, Ron. Hello, Ron.
Oh, hi there. I'm actually, as you can probably tell, I'm not Ron. I'm just sitting in for him for a few moments while he's out.
Great. I did. Do you have a question, or I did see his question regarding the slide number 10?
Yeah, just curious if you could talk a little bit about that 54% statistic. Wondering where that came from. It's just a really interesting stat.
Sure. Yeah, it's actually there was a press release or a news article from about a survey that was done by Fleischman Hillard, and really it was just a representative survey asking the public about how they would engage with the government, and 50% basically said that they would engage more so with the government if they had an online avenue to do so. The link in the PowerPoint is actually hyperlinked, so you can it'll take you directly to the slide to the article.
Okay, great. Thanks very much.
Sure.
Thanks very much. How about can you move on up to Alex from the Vancouver Island Health Authority? Alex, have you got a question for Marco?
Yeah, hi. There was a couple of slides there. One showed the spectrum and which social media techniques would be most effective. And just prior to that, there was one that listed all the different methods of social media. I'm wondering if those slides are available.
Yeah, we'll send these out, so they're available.
Perfect. That would be really useful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Terrific. And now we got Madeline from the UK. She's been standing by for a while. I hope you're still with us, Madeline. Why don't you go ahead and ask your question to Marco?
Well, let me just unmute her. Hi, Madeline.
Sure, if you're... Hi, I'm actually in Greece, not in the UK.
Oh, great.
No, I just commented that it was the first period that it was very well explained and everything very clear. And I also wanted to ask about, but you just answered to the previous person, Alex, I think. I was wondering about the spectrum of the IAP2 spectrum of participation and the online tools. I was interested in that, if we could get that as well.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we'll be recording the session, and we'll also make the slides available. So
okay.
We'll be sending that out in our sort of post webinar kit.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, Madeline.
So, Marco, we've got two questions, one from Stefan and one from Jenny, but maybe you can take a few more minutes to go through that last batch of slides and then get back to Stefan and Jenny.
Sure. Okay. Well, actually, if you don't mind, since I'm right here on the Pinterest slide, maybe I can get Stefan on and answer that. Hi, Stefan.
Hi there. This is Stefan from Ottawa, and I'm just curious if you've, in your research, have come across any other good examples of Pinterest being used to actually engage participants, or
sure,
the public, or citizens. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so one example is here. I don't think there was a lot of engagement necessarily on this board, but it's certainly an interesting approach that we thought would be an interesting example for some of our members, some of the audience from the health sector. I did run across an interesting competition that was run by a county or municipality in the United States, where they've actually used one second. Where they actually used Pinterest for a contest, and basically they asked local residents or businesses to submit new business ideas using Pinterest, and they basically had to use a visual approach to developing a business case for their business. And the one that did the best presentation, sort of a best business board, was actually received funding from the municipality. I've seen some other ones as well, mostly sharing examples of research, maybe using very visual or photographic means, so community portraits of people or local attractions. But it's a fairly new tool. So and I think. There's going to be a lot of developments through this tool, but I think it's still fairly new. So I think we're and perhaps even so it's going to be I wouldn't say a niche product, but it's a new one. I think I think people are maybe waiting to see if there's how things will pan out. I know there's some issues with Pinterest in terms of copyright protection because what happens is users actually share a lot of the copyrighted images. And I think recently there was a legal filing against Pinterest to prevent copyright infringement. Stefan, I don't know if that helps at all.
Yes, that's great.
Sure, and I can write down if you want to follow up with me. I have those bookmarks, so I can send those up to you as well.
Excellent, thank you.
You're welcome. I'm sorry about that. And I just want to answer to Jenny Ginder. Yes, the slides will be available. Thanks. So Rick, we'll get back on track here. So I just wanted to go back to this slide again. We have a 10 minutes or so, but really you need to have a strategy. You need to you need to understand the whole cycle of your online engagement process. There are tools that you can use to really monitor once you set things up, either be it Twitter, or Facebook, or LinkedIn. You can really set up monitoring tools to listen in on the conversation and be able to respond on a basis as needed. You can monitor keywords. So there are various tools out there, from Google Alerts to NetVibes for dashboards to Topsy, which is presented here. Trends Map, which is more of a visual approach to understanding where activity on Twitter. So definitely a whole gamut of tools out there for monitoring social media and really understanding what people are saying about your brand, about your organization, about your department. So if you set that up, you'll be able to respond to things as they arise. So this is an example of a dashboard. This is a UK example. Basically, you can set up news feeds, blog feeds, and updates from various monitoring tools to really be available to you in a one-stop shop for monitoring. So Google has a system like this. It's called iGoogle. There's NetVibes. So we've seen successful organizations to really have this down well. And also, what's really important, and this is what we've seen, you need to educate your staff and those managing the social media as to what is the decision process to dealing with comments and feedback online. How are you going to moderate and facilitate? This is an example of a process chart from the Air Force, U.S. Air Force. It's a multiple step process, but it's really an important one because just like interacting with people and or working at the front lines, you need to know what you can say, how you're going to respond, what are sort of some of the no-go zones. When is it better to let something go or get engaged, or maybe get actually engaged in it? So it's because you have to. There are users out there, much like there are participants and stakeholders who attend open houses or public information centers, and they try to really dominate the discussion. So you need to know how to manage that, or throw the discussion off track. So what are some of the common pitfalls we've seen? Well, really, you're starting out without a plan, so you're not really prepared. So you get thrown off track by unexpected, either be it well, we're not getting any traction. Well, did you do any outreach? Did you do any marketing? Did you consult with your stakeholders as to what they'd like to see? Did you understand where your audience is? Did you just start a platform at that no one's really using? It's a failure to listen and engage in that two-way dialogue, which is basically results in one-way communication. You may be using content that's not really appropriate for the platform or for the web. So maybe no one downloaded, or maybe no one read through that 50-page report that's written up in legalese and bureaucratic language, or you're putting 10 pages of reports in HTML format, and you expect people to click through those. There's also lack of commitment or inconsistent posting. So people, you start something and you're not really continuing on to be engaged on it. So people kind of fade, your participants fade out of there. They're not really, they see what's the point. No one's really responding. No one's taking any of my comments seriously. And there's a failure to measure, and really if you don't measure, you can't improve anything. You can't innovate on your processes, and you can't really understand how you're doing. And that's really important when you're actually trying to argue for a business case and justify your online engagement to your executives. And you need to manage expectations. And you see here, don't expect when you go online and set up your online engagement project or social media account, don't expect things to go viral, to get thousands and thousands of followers right away. It takes work, and it's definitely not a replacement for sort of offline engagement efforts. It's just another channel, another avenue, really, where you can converse with people. So have a little bit of patience, and you need to really you need to let people know through offline and online promotion and browsing, and through cross-platform integration that where people can find you online. You also need to evaluate. So there's a lot of tools for that. The source here, and you need to evaluate beyond likes and followers. You need to evaluate what you're trying to achieve. So if you're trying to achieve increase sales to recreation programs in your community, it probably doesn't really matter that you have 1,000 followers. You need to look at the conversion. So if you're using social, Facebook or Twitter, are people clicking through those links? Are they using those links to get informed? Are they using them to actually go and register for programs in your center? And you can segment that traffic and segment all those flows and really understand what's the real value of your online engagement as well, and how you're doing. And you need to test different ads. You need to test different approaches, and you need to see. You just got to evaluate to see what works. And you got to resist the bandwagon. So just because everyone's on Twitter or Facebook or YouTube, or that's what everyone else is doing, so we got to do it too. Well, maybe that's not really the best way or the right approach for you. There's no reason for you to we found there's no reason for users to go online and set up on all various platforms, because you can spread yourself thin. And if you spread yourself thin, you can't really manage properly all those channels. So it's best if you start small and do it well. So where I live in the city of Richmond in BC, they only have a Facebook page, but it's a quite nice page, and I subscribe to it, and I get a lot of useful local information from it. You need to engage users and build a community or following around it, and ensure that your efforts are cost effective, that there's a point in them, that there's actually a business case for it. And you need to have that clear value proposition. Why would I sign up or to follow or like your page? I receive dozens and dozens of updates from my friends and family. Now, why would I want to receive an update from you? But hey, I sign up to City of Richmond. I sign up to various other organizations, and I actually am quite interested in what they have to say, because they figured it out. They figured out what's in it for me. So we can do a quick Q&A. Cheryl Seidenberg here, she has a question on recommendation for staff engagement platform tools. So I'm just going to read through that quickly. Well, so it's about staff engagement and what's the right tool for that. Well, I think there's some tools like Yammer that can be set up privately in your organization. So we've seen some organizations have success with that. If you want to meet personally by social media, well, depending on what kind of information you're sharing. So if it's confidential, like you say, you may not be able to use Google for that. You may want to refer to BC government's cloud computing guidelines for that, and we have that available as well. But there's Skype, so you can also use SharePoint. So you may want to set up a SharePoint where you actually use that to exchange documents through a secure exchange, or via, and then you just communicate through Skype. Or even try to look for local deployments maybe of Microsoft Office. But it's quite a complex question with a lot of factors and considerations. So if you want to, Cheryl, if you want to follow up with me, I would be happy to follow up on that. Suzanne is asking about the monitoring tools mentioned. Are they based on a fee for service? Some of the ones I mentioned, Hootsuite and Topsy and Google Alerts, they're free. Hootsuite has a premium version, but the monitoring for social media, the basics, they're free. So a lot of these are free actually. There are some like that, that are more comprehensive, like and Radiant 6, for example, or Clara Bridge that the BC government just adopted. These are paid tools, and they're actually probably more valuable at a high, like, organization or ministry wide. So yeah, that's that. And just final question, sorry, we're running out of time here, but do you think the decision process map would help with executive staff buy-in? Well, I think it would help, because some people are visual, so it really helps them to understand that, and then you can actually drill down each of the action items, and really to develop a strong project plan. So I'll leave it at that. So if there are any more questions, then we'll continue on. So finally, the last section is content and risk management. Well, you need to focus on your audience. You need to understand your audience. There are some tools out there that can provide some information about what kind of things people do online at a sort of national level. But really, don't expect right away a high participation rate, because 1% of the public or users will actually be heavy contributors. So that's quite something to keep in mind. And then you need to really understand how you can flip that pyramid to really engage more users in commenting, whether through recognition or by really making it easy and simple for them to participate. You also need to, excuse me, you need to focus on moderating, facilitating that content. You need to understand whether you want to, have anonymous or real name commenting. You have to have policies, and that's referring back to the decision process chart, to beware of trolls or these users who go through online systems and just leave. They try to derail the discussion through off-putting comments or comments off topic. You need to understand whether you're going to moderate comments before or after they are published. There's a lot of considerations for this. You also need to determine who will manage the content. Are you going to have a centralized approach that everything goes through maybe your communications department, or maybe if you're more of an advanced organization with a lot of resources and understanding of social media, and you'll have people in different departments contribute information independently, maybe through a social media management platform like Hootsuite. And you also need to think and write for the web, so you got to use calls to action. You got to be human and genuine, and you have to approach it as if you would any sort of interpersonal relationship. And overall, you need to have fun, and that's really, don't be sort of government speak or a very like people don't want to interact with sort of an Autobot. They want to talk to actual human being. So that requires compassion and understanding and patience as well. You also have to give consideration to security. I'm glad about that Suzanne mentioned the issue of having and sharing confidential documents. A lot of these tools are based in the United States, so you have to be, like Facebook and Twitter, so you have to be wary of the private information that you're sharing across these tools and networks. You have to be aware of different hacking attacks. You also have create a degree of protection for your department and the public you're interacting with by having clear terms of service on your social media channels. You also have to specify on your website what kind of information you're collecting, whether you're using cookies or third-party emailing software. And you need to have a transition plan in place. So if someone, say, if you have a stellar social media champion in your organization, and he does it all, and he's the or she is the go-to person for social media. Well, you need to really, what happens if that person leaves? So you need to have, a backup plan. You need to have documents and procedures in place for that as well. And you need to be cognizant of regulatory requirements. So you have to discuss those issues with your legal department. Understand what you can post on services that are outside of Canada, because the privacy regulations state that private information must remain in Canada. And you need to archive all of your online interactions or ones that are more meaningful. And you need to ensure copyright as well. So that's that for that session. And if there are any questions now, we're just at the 1 hour mark. We zoomed through that a little bit, and I would love to follow up with anyone via email or a phone call, and really just get into this a little more, into more detail. I'm quite passionate about it. So if you have any questions, please, now is the time. We'll spend a few minutes here, or please send me an email.
Well, just while people are formulating their comments or their questions there, Marco, I see that there's a few people dropping off. I just wanted to thank, it's Rick here, I just wanted to thank people for joining us. Also wanted to point out that the Community of Practice holds several webinars per year. This is the second one for this year. The next one is coming up. PlaySpeak has agreed to showcase a geographic referenced online engagement tool that they're developing. So that will be on the 20th of September. Also, we've developed the Advantage program. We have lots of people who are anxious to join into the community that haven't taken training from us. So check out our web in about 2 weeks and click on the Advantage tab, and you will see how people can, in fact, join in, and how people can actually benefit from contributing best practices and case studies and that sort of thing. So we're looking for contributors to the case study, contributors to the Community of Practice, and we are prepared to reward you handsomely for that. So we'll be sending out a brief announcement about that in a little while. So I'm going to turn it back over to Marco to wrap up, and if there have been any questions, I'm not able to see the question pane, so last word goes to you, Marco.
Great, thanks, Rick, and thanks to everybody who was here today. Really solid questions, and I would encourage you to get in touch with me to follow up on any of these topics. I did create a list of hashtags here that you may want to follow on Twitter, both for government and the health sector. And these are just categories. These are basically this is basically a way to categorize online discussions on Twitter. So if you type this into the Twitter search box, you'll get a lot of information either on e-democracy, public engagement, open government, or Canadian health, or healthcare and social media in Canada. And then you can, if you click on it, it'll lead you to more tweets. Also providing here is a list of resources. So there's a social media, sort of a stock policy tool or a governance site where you can really understand sort of some of the social media policies and strategies that are available online. We have digital engagement portals with lots of information and knowledge. We also wanted to, as Rick said, announce the next webinar, and that's with PlaySpeak, discussing their new online consultation platform. So we're going to continue on with this webinar series. We've had quite a good feedback and are happy with the way things are going. And it's really a great way to connect with our audiences and clients and expand the dialogue on community engagement. And finally, just a list of our services, if anyone, for your review. So Rick, thank you very much for facilitating this session. And
you're quite welcome, Marco, and thanks to everybody for attending. We'll enjoy your summer if we're not in touch, and we look forward to being in contact with you for our spring newsletter, and then perhaps in the fall we'll get together for another webinar, or perhaps you'll even host one. Take care, and bye for now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.